How you doing? Thank you for studying with us over at DFMA. This is for you folks that are just beginning, just starting your journey. So this little course here, this little filming is meant to help you to review. Okay, to review the things that we talked about during the lesson, and it's going to be cut up in certain segments. We're going to have major chords, minor chords, some of the scales. Of course, we did the C scale too, and then a couple of tunes to practice with. All right? All right, so we're going to first review all of the chords that we've talked about. All right, so we have the A chord, all right? And so the A chord, by now you know that it starts with the A string. You're going to take finger 1 and put it on the 2nd fret of the D string. Finger 2, 2nd fret of the G string. Finger 3, 2nd fret of the B string. And then you're going to play from the A string, string 5 down. And that forms your A chord. Okay, let's review that one more time. So we have the open A, first finger on the 2nd fret of the D string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the G, and 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B string. And all together, that gives you an A chord. All right, okay, so the next chord that we studied was the C chord, okay? So with C, it has the notes C, E, and G. So we're going to start with finger 3, which is this finger, on the 3rd fret of the A string. Take your 2nd finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the D string, and you're going to play the open G string, right? And then your 1st finger on the first fret of the B string. All right, and then you play from the A string down. Do not play the low E, which is string 6, and we're going to strum all the strings. Now notice, as we discussed in the lesson, where my thumb is in the back of the neck. It is not leaning over like this. I know sometimes you see guitarists with their thumb over like that, but no, we want to do this. Now, it's a natural tendency to want to do this because what do we use our left hand for? Picking up and holding things. So, but we're going to change that by keeping our thumb in the back of the neck, all right? That is what's going to give you the opportunity to play a chord that's nice and clear, nice and clean, because your thumb is your foundation. Okay, so next we're going to do the D chord, all right? So we're going to start off with the open D. First finger is going to go on fret 2 of the G string, or string 3. 3rd finger is now going to go on the 3rd fret of the B string, all right? String 2. And then your 2nd finger is going to go on the 2nd fret of the high E, or string 1. All right, and you hear this sound. That's your D. That's your D chord. I'm going to use those a lot. Okay, the next chord is going to be the E chord. It's our first chord where we're going to play all of the strings. We're going to play them all. So we're going to start with the open E, all right? And we're going to play E, 2nd fret A string with your 2nd finger, your 2nd fret of the D string with your 3rd finger, your 1st fret with the G string with your 1st finger, then your open B string and open E string. All together, it sounds like this. All right? I like the sound because it reminds me of like bullfighting music. Ooh, so cool. Anyway. All right, the next one will be an F chord. All right, so we're going to start with finger 3. It's going to be placed on the 3rd fret of the D string. Your 2nd finger will be on the 2nd fret of the G string, string 3. 1st finger will be on the 1st fret of the B string. Now, until you get used to it, we're just going to use these fingers so that you're just going to hold down the B string with your 1st finger. Once we're a little bit more advanced, we're going to use that 1st finger and we're going to hold down the E string as well. All right, so it sounds like, all right, nice and clean. All right, and so that's your F chord. So the next chord is going to be the G chord. You're going to play all of the strings. So we're going to take your 3rd finger, we're going to put it on the 3rd fret of the low E. And you take your second finger, put it on the second fret of the A string, and pinky finger and put it on the third fret of the high E. Alright? Alright, so those are all of the major chords that we're going to be working with in the beginning. And we'll add more later on. But just to review, we're going to have the A chord, C chord, D chord, E chord, F chord, and G chord. Now, you're going to want to memorize these chords. So one way to do that is to play the chord and then release your finger, your hand, left hand, and then come back and play the chord again. So, to demonstrate. So I'm going to play a C, then I'm going to take my fingers off. Then I'm going to play C again. Then I'm going to take my fingers off. All right, I'm going to do this 5 times for each chord. And then your finger muscles will take over. You have muscle memory, and so you won't have to worry about where to put your fingers because your fingers will know. All right? So that's the major chord part of our study. Next, we're going to look at a few minor chords, and then we're going to complete that series for today, and we'll make another film with the other chords once we get into that. All right, so we're going to have A minor, which looks a lot like E, but your first finger is going to go on the first fret of the B string. Your second finger is going to go on the second fret of the D string, and your third finger is going to go on the second fret of the G string. And you play it from the A string down. So you say, wow, that's a minor chord. So what does that actually mean? Well, if you listen to the difference between an A major, right, very happy, very strong chord, and A minor is a little on the sad side, right? So you have the A minor chord, and what changes is what we call the third. It's the third degree of the scale, otherwise known as the parent scale. All right, we'll get more into that later. But anyway, that's the difference. So this is A minor. The next one is going to be D minor. First finger on the first fret of the high E. Third finger on the third fret of the B. Second finger on the second fret of the G string. And you'll play that from your D string down, string 4. So I can hear this guitar needs to have a neck adjustment. Hear that sound? Yeah, that's because the weather kind of changes the necks of guitars. So know that when you have your guitar, sometimes it's going to sound a little different, and sometimes it's going to sound a little strange. But that's easy to fix. All right, and the last chord of today, the last chord of the day, is you're going to take your second finger, put it on the second fret of the A string, and you're going to take your third finger, put it on the second fret of the D string, and you're going to have the E minor chord, and we'll play all of the strings. Okay, so that's an E minor chord. Same concept. It sounds a little bit rainy, a little bit sad, but it's a very important chord. Okay, so those are all of the chords. So please review this material because it's going to help you to remember what we talked about in class. And so we're going to shoot another series, and it's going to be the scale series. All right, but I just want you to work on the chords right now. Remember, you got to practice every day. All right, every day. A minimum of 10 minutes. But if you can get in 15, that's even better. If you can do 30, that's even way better. Because the more you put in, the more you're going to get out. And make sure that you're having a blast while doing it, because guitar is the best. It's so fun. And I'd love to see you really progress and enjoy what the guitar has to offer. All right, thanks a lot. Catch you next time. Peace, love,